So when I was a sophomore in high school, I had this teacher who would only let the students in her class use the restroom one time per semester. Well, one day I raised my hand and I was like, "Excuse me," I don't remember her name. "Can I please use the restroom?" And she was like, "No, you can't because you've already used the restroom in my class this semester." Well, excuse me, you can't dictate my bladder. So I'm like all frustrated, and I started secretly texting my mom because I wasn't allowed to use my phone in class. And I was like, "Mom, I'm sitting in class right now. My teacher won't let me use the restroom." And she was like, "I'll take care of it for you." And I was like, "Okay." So like 5 minutes goes by, and all of a sudden my teacher's phone starts ringing, and she walks up to it and answers it, and she's like, "Hello?" "Yeah." "Okay, thank you." And then she walks up to me like so angry, and she like slams the pass on my desk, and she was like, "Since you have to go that bad." And I was like, "Yeah, I really do, thanks." And I got up and left. I didn't even have to go to the bathroom. It was just the principle of it. I just roamed the halls.
My grandmother lit my grandfather on fire because he was sleeping with a prostitute. Story time while we make this pretty glittery slime. By the way, I mixed the regular glue with the glittery glue because we didn't have much left in that glitter glue and we wanted more slime. So back to the story. Now, my grandfather has been doing this basically their entire relationship, and I don't know why my grandmother has not been putting up with it. I don't know how she put up with it for so long. But the fateful day when my grandmother lit him on fire is when he decided to bring the prostitute in their home. She literally went to the grocery store with me and my siblings, and when we all came back, we heard the grunting noise and that prostitute moaning. Like, it was obvious what they were doing. So my grandmother said, "Kids, go back into the truck. I'll be right with you." The next thing we know, our grandfather is running out of the house naked, and that prostitute is running out of the house butt naked. He's on fire. He is on fire. And my grandmother is sitting in her rocking chair out on her front porch with her cigarette, just laughing her ass off. And she's like, "That's what you get for doing that to me, you motherfucker." That, and the third. And us and my siblings had to stomp him out. And he was like, "Why'd you do that, Cheryl? Why'd you do that, Cheryl?" My grandmother's name was Cheryl. But, yeah, and then he died 3 weeks after that of a heart attack. I don't know if it was my grandmother or not. That's Clay, by the way. But that's it. Damn.
Story time on how my friend lied about a school shooting to get us out of trouble while I make slime. Y'all already know, get your money's worth in what? Let it drain. So this was my freshman year of high school, and I just want to say I had little to no social skills because I was sheltered. As soon as I got a little freedom, I'm telling y'all, I had a potty mouth. I was cussing. I was ghetto. Like, I was that one weirdo black girl that wanted to hang out with everybody, but nobody wanted to hang out with her. I did have a girl best friend, but at this time, she was hanging out with her other friends, and she kind of ditched me a lot. So, it got tiring being by myself. I ended up hanging out with the school's problem. We're going to call her M. Now, M, she was notoriously known for ditching, getting in fights, starting problems, spreading rumors, being fake, like the list goes on. Me being me, I'm like, I'm not going to judge a book by its cover, and I can fix her. Like, she's not an issue. By the way, it's the shaving cream that's activating my slime. Because I use this glue right here. This is slime, but yeah. So boom, we hang out. We start hanging out. At first, I didn't know if any of the rumors about her were true, but the ditching and skipping school part, yeah, those were true. Y'all also can add a little warm water and baking soda if you don't want it to be sticky. Anyways, I had no friends that wanted to hang out with me, so it was either sit alone at first lunch and feel the embarrassment or hang out with M. I chose to hang out with M. Me and her started ditching, and I was the scary girl. Like, I'm like, I don't know if we should do this, but she's like, "Come on, like, it's gonna be fun." Like, I was just super naive and dumb. I was also not recognized at that school whatsoever, so if I ditched to second lunch, no one would notice. But since she was like a problem at the school, everybody knew who she was. Like the security guards, the office, nobody knew who I was. But since I was with her, they knew I had to be ditching. I had got caught ditching with like 3 times with her, and the dean had told us 4 strikes and you're out. And she's like, "Girl, this is like our second time ditching. We don't want to hit the 3 mark, so like, let's make up a lie." She told me to tell the teacher the reason why we were ditching was because somebody was like, a guy I was talking to was gonna come to the school and hurt me. So me being me, I'm like, "Girl, why don't you do it? Like, why do I gotta do it? Like, I want to do this." She's like, "Girl, because like they're not gonna believe me. Like, you just have to go with it." Me being naive and dumb, I'm like, okay. So the teacher comes out and, I'm like, oh, the reason why, like, this is happening is because, like, I was really scared because this guy is threatening to hurt me. And the teacher took that as pew, pew, pew. Why when I'm about to say no, like, not like that, why does M go, yeah, like, he threatened that he was going to come to the school and, like, pew, pew us and all this different types of stuff. And I'm looking at her and the teacher looking at me and then looking at her, and she could just tell that this is a lie. I tell you, I gave this girl, like, the strongest side eye. Like, what are you saying? At this point, my heart is beating fast, and the teacher's like, are you serious? And she's like, yes, like, we're just super scared. That's why we were ditching. Like, it just became a serious issue, and da-da-da. And I'm just looking like, shaking my head, this girl gonna get us in even more trouble than we was. The teacher just looks like she's so tired. She's like, now, girls, an accusation like this is really dangerous because, the police, they're going to get involved and they're going to have to search her phone. And mind you, it was her phone that she was saying the guy allegedly texted her on. Texted me, I guess. Teacher goes on to explain basically like, girl, like, what did you expect? Like, you're claiming that a grown man is going to come to the school and get you. So you're literally putting everybody else's lives in danger. So of course we got to check your phone. Then the teacher goes on to say, like, this is a serious accusation. It better be true. And she walks back into the office, and then she looks at me like, girl, what are we gonna do? Like, they're talking about checking the phone. I'm looking at her like, you don't want, where do we go? I tell her, I'm like, girl, like, we just need to tell the teacher that we're lying. Like, no, like, we just need to tell the teacher. It's like, okay, like, I think you're right, because, like, we have no messages literally to prove anything. And I'm like, nah, Dib, why would you? The teacher comes back out, and she's like, so what will it be, girls? Like, what's going on? Is this the truth? Like, the teacher could just see straight through the lies. Like, she knew we was lying. And I was like, yeah, no, it's not the truth. Like, no guys come to the school to shoot us. And surprisingly, we didn't get in trouble. Like, we just got basically a warning. And I think we got in trouble for, like, ditching, but we did not get in trouble for, like, making up that whole lie. Even though I didn't make it up, I just went along with it. Guilty by association. So, yeah, that's the story, and yes, the story is true. I later ended up wanting to fight that girl because guess what? The rumors about her being fake and lying on people, those was true too.
Am I the asshole for ruining a pregnancy announcement by telling the woman she may have taken the wrong test? My husband and I recently invited 8 friends for lunch, and we were asked if we could also include a new couple, Doug and Sasha. We have never met them before, but everyone who was invited had, so we said sure. At one point during dinner, Sasha needed to use the restroom, and I told her to use the master suite since the other bathroom was occupied. I was helping my husband in the kitchen when Sasha came out of the room bawling and holding something in her hand. At first, I thought she hurt herself, but she said something to Doug that caused him to drop to his knees, cry, and begin kissing her stomach. All of our friends began screaming, jumping, and crying. It was insane. Finally, Sasha tells my husband and I that she is pregnant. Of course, we congratulate both of them, and then I give them a bag to put the pregnancy test in. I will admit, I did find it odd that she brought a pregnancy test and took it at a complete stranger's house, but I didn't say that out loud. Once everyone sat down to eat, Sasha looked over to me and said, I hope you don't mind that I used one of your pregnancy tests. I just saw them and I had to. Looking at her confused, I responded, I don't have any pregnancy tests. Sasha says yes, in your drawer.
I put my math teacher on a death notebook, and he actually died of a heart attack the following day. Story time. My math teacher hated me for absolutely no fucking reason. Like, when I tell you he hated me, he would literally throw pencils at me. He would also throw, those tissue boxes? Well, he would throw that at me as well. Now, I cannot tell you why he hated me. He probably was frustrated at me because I'm dyslexic. I suck at math. And you know what? I was about sick of his shit. So I was like, I can't, cuss him out because I would get in trouble. So, like, I saw this anime TV show of this Death Notebook, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to find a book like that and put his freaking name in it. And that's exactly what I did. I found one on Amazon for about $20. And then when I got home, I didn't know his first name, so I had to find it on Facebook. Somehow I found it. And then I wrote his name in it. Then the next day, he didn't show up. And I was like, there ain't no fucking way he actually passed away, right? Like, there's no way. There is no way. But yes, he did. We found out a week later that he died in his home of a heart attack. And he was fat, in my defense. So it was probably just a crazy coincidence. I don't know, but I burned that book after that because I don't fuck with the devil. That's it. Damn.
Story time on how my fiance was having a 2-year affair with my mother while I make slime. This is not my story. It was sent in by a fan. Like always, I cannot tell y'all if these stories are real or not. These were sent in by supporters. Y'all already know. Get your money's worth and what? Let it drain. Julie is 25 and her fiance was 27. Come on. There we go. They have been together for about, oh my gosh, 4 years. Julie's fiance really wanted to get to know her family, but Julie was reluctant on that because her mother would quite literally push away every boyfriend that she had. She had never gotten along with her previous boyfriend, so Julie was trying to keep this one away from her mother as long as she could. But 2.5 years into their relationship, honey, Julie ends up folding. So it's time for him to meet the mother, and at this point, her heart is pumping. She is scared. But surprisingly, her mother and her fiance get along pretty well. She is so happy. She's ecstatic. She's like, yes, period, finally, I found the one. Little does she know. Fast forward 3 years into their relationship, he ends up proposing. He pops the question, your girl is happy, okay? And around this time is where she also finds out that she is pregnant. I don't have enough activators, so my slime isn't activating. So we're gonna add some of this slime to this because oopsies. Anyways, she's so happy. She ends up telling him like, hey, like we're pregnant, and he's happy and everything's going good. They tell the mom, and the mom is the best thing you could ever expect. Like the mom is on that. She's helping with the nursery, cake tasting, wedding dresses. Like she's on that. She's paying for the baby shower. She's paying for everything. Let's get to the juicy stuff. Fast forwarding 6 months later, she is now 6 to 7 months pregnant. Now, y'all, Julie is at work, right? And her stomach just starts hurting like crazy. Like, she has to throw up everything. And this is where she comes to the conclusion that she has food poisoning. She's like, yeah, it's time for me to go home. I'm 6 months pregnant. Like, I need a rest, and I do not feel okay. She drives home as sick as she wants to be, child. Now, when she get home, it dawns on her that she does not have her house key, y'all. She left it with her husband. And she's already not expecting her husband to be there because he works late night shifts. And the only person who has, like, the spare key is her mother. She's calling her mom, but her mom's not picking up. And this is where she results to calling her husband. He doesn't pick up. So she's like, okay, whatever. I'm going to go back to sit in the car. She's sitting in the car and she's trying to, like, take her mind off of the sickness that she's feeling. And she's been in her car for like 30 minutes. And this is where she realizes, oh wait, there is another key that is underneath like this plant pot. I don't know. Now, as she's thinking about the key, y'all, she sees her husband's car like parked all the way down the street. And she's like, he's not supposed to be home. You know what the crap? So she starts to walk up to the door and she's knocking on the door. Nobody's answering the door. At this point, she's been outside for like an hour. No one's answering the door. She sees her husband's car. There's no way he could be at work when his car is right here. And then that's when she notices like the living room like curtains moving. So she goes over there and she sees her mother's purse sitting on like a side table. Now, she's not thinking that her husband and her mama is in there getting it on. She's just thinking, oh, maybe they're planning something for me. Like, you know, my wedding is literally in 2 days. Like, I give birth in a couple of months. Like, maybe they're just planning something cute for me. So remember about that key that she thought about. She's like, like, you know, I'm going to go in there and eavesdrop. So she gets the key. She opens the door. She's already not feeling good. So she has no choice but to go into the house anyways. And when she gets into the house is quiet. Like, shh, like you can hear a pin drop. Up until you start hearing giggling, laughter, happiness coming from her bedroom. I couldn't make this up. Her bedroom. She walks up to the bedroom, and this is where she sees her mother in her birthday suit and her fiance half undressed. Now, she ain't say nothing, but when they seen her, her mother turned pale, and so did her fiance. But as soon as she seen what she seen, she immediately turned around, did a full 360, and ran as fast as she could outside of the door. She makes it to her car, and she just drives and drives and cries and drives. And so she's like, okay, I just need to go to my aunt's house. So she drives to her aunt's house. She does not tell anybody what's going on. And for the next couple of days, she does not sleep. She doesn't sleep for 3 days straight, y'all. 3 days. So keep in mind, y'all, the third day where she's finally like, let me turn on her phone, is her wedding day. So she found out 2 days prior that her fiance was messing with her mother while she was 6 months pregnant, 2 days before her wedding day. So she turns back on her phone, and this is where she sees like several missed calls, several thousands of texts, thousands of everything. Now, one of his voice messages to her was like, oh, you're pregnant, you don't need to be disappearing on me, you don't need to punish me, you don't need to use our baby as some form of punishment. What? At this point, she's explained to her aunt everything that's gone down, and she just like begs her aunt not to tell like her mother where she's at, and her aunt obviously like is like, yeah, like I got you, this is crazy. So mind you, she goes like literally days, like weeks on end, just sitting in the house all day because she does not want to be bothered by her mother or her ex-fiance at this point. And like they're trying to get in contact with her, but she's just like, no. Her ex-fiance shows up at her job trying to get her new address. He also tries to like convince their mutual friends that she was the issue and he wasn't, which they obviously didn't believe because she has like all the proof and he doesn't. At this point, it's like she's like 8 months pregnant, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna be with you only to discuss how we're gonna raise our child because I am not getting back together with you. So when she meets up with him, she does not want to hear his bullcrap. She does not want to hear his excuses, his sorry. She don't want to hear none of that. She's just trying to do what's best for the well-being of their child, okay? And he's not trying to hear that. He does not want to co-parent. He does not want to go to court. He doesn't want to do any of that. He wants her back, and he wants to raise the baby together. So I also forgot to add, before they started talking about like the whole custody thing, she told him, like, if we're gonna do this, like, you need to tell me where this started. Like, how long have you and my mother been going at this? And he goes on to say that they had been doing it since they met. So 2 years into their relationship, they had been having this affair since the mother and the guy met, y'all. And at this point, it had been 2 years. So they've been doing this for 2 years. At this point, she was completely disgusted by him, and she's just like, okay, like, if you don't want to do the whole co-parenting thing, we're just gonna go to court. And she leaves the conversation at that. Now, as for the mother, because this video is getting kind of long, the mother literally tried to contact her, went on Facebook, like, just did every mom thing in the book, and she just wasn't going for it. She blocked her mother on everything, and yeah, that's that. That's the mother's update. She never had a sit-down conversation, as she should, because I wish my mom would. Now she's currently living happily with her 2-year-old, and she has been co-parenting with him. They never went to court. My bad. I feel so bad for her because, like, imagine all that stress she had while like trying to actively grow a baby. Like, ooh.